Hi friends, this is Ashley Latecki Ellenboss with Skyhouse Herb School and Apothecary, and today I'll be talking about herbs for stings and bites. So right now it's summertime, and there's a lot of things out there that are biting. We have things like mosquitoes, ticks, especially there's a lot of Lyme-carrying deer ticks here where I live right now in Maryland. But certainly there are a lot of biting spiders, ants, things like that that in the summertime are very prevalent. So I wanted to talk about a few herbs that are really good remedies for bites and stings. So I went out to my garden this morning and I gathered two plants that are my favorites, and I use them in a variety of ways. These are plants that you can probably find in your own yard. Depends on where you live in the world, but most places along the East Coast, I know throughout the Midwest you can find these plants. I'm not sure about the West Coast. I think that one of them might be available, and throughout Europe you'll probably be able to find both of these plants as well, because these plants are native to Europe and they were brought over by settlers, one on purpose and one not on purpose, one on accident. One was like a hitchhiker. So let's talk about these two plants. So the first one is plantain, and I'll show you the leaf. Here it is a little closer. So you can see that it has these parallel veins, and that's one of the distinguishing features. And what I do with my herb students when I bring them on an herb walk is I'll pinch off the end here, kind of close to the end, and not always, but sometimes you can see, yeah, you can see the veins themselves sticking out. So I don't know if you can see that, but there's a little of one of the veins sticking out, right? Okay, so here's another leaf just so you can see, and these usually grow in basal rosettes. So you'll see a number of the leaves radiating out from a central point. They like to grow in compacted soil, so they're really common to find in lawns, along sidewalks, if you live in the city, in community parks and spaces, outdoor fields, all of these places you're going to probably find plantain. And this is a picture of the seed stem. So this will grow out of the center of the plant like this. You'll have all these basal rosettes or basal leaves, and then you'll have the stalk with seeds on it. And these seeds are actually psyllium seeds. So they are really great sources of soluble fiber. Now, this herb, let me tell you the Latin name. It's Plantago Major, and this is it's in the Plantagaceae family. There is a cousin of this plant that is Plantago Lanciolata that can be used interchangeably. And Lanciolata has these longer leaves, but they do also have the parallel veins, and they often grow nearby. Now in my yard, I just have this species, but you might find the other species, so you can look around for that. The second plant that I use is this one here. This is ground ivy. And so ground ivy is it's an ivy, so you can see it. It's in the mint family. The Latin name is Glechoma hederaceae, and that's Glechoma, hederaceae. It's sometimes called gill over the ground. It has a number of other ale hoof, I think it's called. For me, it was used to make beer. Creeping Charlie is another common name for this plant, but it's easy to notice because it has this creeping vine. It has these opposite leaves that are kidney shaped and lobed, and you can see the roots kind of growing intermittently. And this is what makes it such a great runner, is that it sends out roots every few inches and then grows more leaves. So let's talk about how do we use this for stings and bites. So for my family, and even before I had kids, I didn't say that another thing that stings are bees. It's a really obvious one, but that's one that you definitely might come across. So I have used plantain leaves for stings probably since I learned about it, maybe for the last 15 years. So the way that you use this for a bee sting, this could also be for a spider bite. You could use these for mosquito bites. So any sort of bite or sting that irritates the skin, you can use this plant. So what you do is you just take the leaf, you chew it to make a spit poultice, and it's really nice and green. And you just take the leaf, that little chewed up leaf bit, and let's say I got stung right here. You just put it right like this, right over it. And then you would put a Band-Aid over it and just let it stay there maybe for 15, 20 minutes. And then you could, if it's still swollen at all, you can replace it. So my favorite story, I've used this plant so many times for bee stings, so I'll just tell you one of my many stories, but I was on my way to teach a yoga class, and I had my sunglasses on. I was running out the door, running late, and a bee flew into my sunglasses and stung me right under the eye, and that's a really fragile place. And so I was like, oh no, you know, this is not good timing. So luckily in my yard, I had plantain. So I just reached into my yard, I picked a leaf, chewed it up, I stuck it on my eye, and I held my finger over it, and I drove to the studio where I was teaching. And luckily it was only about 5 minutes away. So I got there, I got all my stuff out of the car, I got into the classroom, and I asked one of my students, I said, you know, I just got stung by a bee. Is there any redness? And she said, I don't see anything there. And I didn't feel anything. So for being stung by a bee and having no marking after about 10 minutes is pretty phenomenal. And I have a number of stories, and I'm sure you probably heard them too, of the miracles of this plant for bee stings, wasp stings, hornet stings, bites, all sorts of things. One of my friends also uses this for mosquito bites. So if you live someplace that has a lot of mosquitoes, if you get bit, you can chew this up and place it over it. And, you know, hopefully you don't have too many, otherwise you'll have green dots all over you, but it's a really nice one for stopping the itch of mosquito bites. Now the other plant, ground ivy, as I call it, this one is a really great antiviral, and it's also a really good one for, it's antiviral, antibacterial, and antimicrobial. And so for tick bites, I use this one, and I use both the roots and the leaves, and I'll tell you why. There was a study that came out, I think it was in 2000, and I want to say 3, that took samples of this plant's roots and found that it inhibited the formation of biofilms from a lot of the co-infections and the spirochetes that are associated with Lyme disease, like Borrelia and a number of those other co-infections. And so they're doing more research on this, but while the research is going on, it grows kind of prolifically everywhere. So I would recommend using it. So what I do for my girls and for myself when we get tick bites, and I teach my students this as well, is you do the same thing, only you start, I start with the plantain leaf. So I'll do the same thing. I'll take a leaf, chew it up. Let's say I got a tick bite. Usually they like the creases of your body where it's warm. So let's just say I had a tick bite here. I would carefully remove the tick and its head. I would take this spit poultice and I would let it sit with a Band-Aid for about 10 minutes. That's really the kind of, I would say the sweet spot of when it's going to extract whatever was injected into your body. At the same time, it has mucilage, which is going to cool and soothe the irritated tissues. So you're getting this drawing agent that's from the tannins in the plant, and then you're getting this soothing, cooling action from the mucilage or the polysaccharides, right? And so I would let that sit 10 minutes, take it off, and then take your little ground ivy, and you just need one leaf and then one little bunch of roots. So I'm just going to take one leaf and one little bunch of roots. I'm going to take the roots and I'm going to fold them up into the leaves. There's like a little package here, just because I don't want to get all the roots up in my teeth, but I want to smash them so that they open up and they release their medicine. And this one tastes good too. It tastes more minty though. So then I would take my ground ivy leaves and roots, place that over the same place where the tick bit, and I would let that sit for about 20 minutes to an hour and replace it as much as you can. So in that first day, that you find the tick bite, they say that you really don't, your risk of contracting Lyme is very low if the tick is in your skin for less than 24 hours. But you know what? I don't want to be a statistical anomaly. So I do this every time I find a tick bite. So you just would have this here. And then what I would do is if you find the tick in the evening, which is usually when I find them, around bath time, is I would let it stay there overnight. So again, I would take a Band-Aid, place it over that ground ivy poultice, and then let it sit overnight, and then just take it off in the morning. So, you know, you're getting a lot of really good medicines there from both of these plants. They're easy to find and, you know, very gentle, very safe. Let me know what else you use for tick bites and for stings and spider bites and any other bites that you come across. I'm always open and curious to hear your stories. So thank you so much for watching. Also to mention that we have our summer herbal speaker series coming up starting in the beginning of August, where we have free classes from a number of America's great herbal teachers. So you can visit my website at www.skyhouseherbs.com, click on the events page, and register for free for any of these 5 talks. So I hope you can make it, and I look forward to seeing you all soon. Take care. Bye-bye.